Hey, you're here to hear about controlling chaos with Kanban. My name is Florian Eisenberg. I'm a consultant for agile product development. Apart from that, I'm an accredited Kanban trainer and Kanban coaching professional for the Lean Kanban University. That's kind of the certifying body for Kanban. I work for IT Agile. We are situated in Hamburg, so that's hard to see, but it's Hamburg. That's the view from our office, so if you want to enjoy this view, just come around and talk to me and we'll have a good laugh. Okay, so first of all, why are you guys here? We need to establish a sense of urgency, so why should we do anything with Kanban? Why are you guys here? You like Kanban? Okay. It's a good reason, obviously. Anything else? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Improving Scrum. Okay, that's a good point. I like that one. Anything else? Bit deeper. Yes, lots of things to do, stress, deadlines, customers pressing down on you, or just the general task pressing down, or your boss coming around saying, why is this not ready, and whatever. You get feedback and do all these kinds of loops and all this unwanted stuff. It's, it really weighs down on you. And maybe you've come here to hear the solution from me, and you're asking, hey, maybe that Florian guy has a solution for that. No, sorry. Yeah, we can finish here. However, the problem is not actually the problem. It's how we're dealing with the problem. It's saying, okay, there are some people who want bad things of us, and this chaos is weighing down on us, and things just can't get ordered, and we can't really predict anything, and yeah, totally helpless. But the problem is not the problem, it's how we deal with the problem. So the problem is not the chaos, but the problem is actually you. I'm sorry. Why am I here though? Maybe I can give you some help. Ever heard of Immanuel Kant? He said something about enlightenment is man's emergence from his self-inflicted immaturity. That's about 250 years old, but it's still pretty actual, or yeah. So what I can give you, at least professionally, is a few indicators that something is wrong, Maybe you have a feeling that something is wrong, but these things that I'm proposing to you can actually show you what is wrong. So let's talk about customers. What do customers usually want? They don't know, okay. Everything quick. And they want to decide really, really late, and they come back and say, yeah, I want that differently. Thanks for the project, but no, it's not finished. So, and everything cheap and predictable. Yes, predictability. And what's the usual pattern we have when things get a little awkward and pressure starts to rise? There's the call for efficiency. Yay! What about efficiency? What's the thing with efficiency? It's a big word. And people usually ask for efficiency if things don't go the way they want to, or if not enough things get done. We can split up this efficiency thing, and the Toyota production system has a few things that they say is the main source of, well, which is the reason why the call for efficiency is there. Those things are Muda, Muri, and Mura. Ever heard of that? No? Sorry. Okay. So Muda, top thing, is waste. That's like overproduction, faulty inventory, transportation, too much movement, and so on. Usually in knowledge work, that isn't really the problem. But the other things are those Muri and Mura. Muri is overburdening, putting too much pressure on the system, putting too many tasks into the system. And the other thing, Mura, is variability in flow. Things don't go as smoothly as they should. Those three things, Muda, Mura, and Muri, are impediments to your customer's wishes, or your own wishes, if you're your own customer. Let's talk about this efficiency thing again. There are two things about efficiency. It's resource efficiency and flow efficiency. What's different? Resource efficiency is Muda, or at least low Muda. Very little waste. The flow efficiency usually is low Mura and Muri. We can split that up into 4 quadrants. Where's the nirvana? Up here. Where are we usually? Up here. All multitasking being really efficient, high utilization, perfect. We should be over there, and that's where the customers actually want us to be. Things go through really quickly, and it's really dirt as cheap. But we're neither cheap nor quick. So maybe it should be, let's move from the left to the right, like this, no, like this. But somehow, from my experience, that doesn't really work. From what I have experienced and see in enterprises, the only thing that actually works is this thing. So we need to be less efficient to get a higher flow efficiency and then become resource efficient. How do we do this? The flow efficiency thing is usually knowledge transfer, new people, building Slack in, giving people the freedom to improve and improve their workflows. The question that usually comes now is, when should we actually improve? And this famous product development guy, Don Reinertsen, once said, if you measure only one thing, measure cost of delay. What does it cost if things come late? And we can have a look at the number of workarounds we usually find, waiting for some people, specialists, or waiting for unavailable resources, or I don't know what, workarounds. And we can, compare them to costs. And the cost of delaying change usually rises like this. And the cost of fixing a change would sink like this per number of workarounds. I was at this client the other day, and they said, well, we have this colleague, and he was sick for a few days, and we couldn't deploy our feature because we had a dependency on him. And I said, well, first thing, if he gets sick once, you don't really fix the problem, transfer all his knowledge to somebody else, because that's really expensive. But maybe the second time he gets sick, or the third time. And if we add this up, like this, we get to an actual cost, and we have an optimal point for change. So All this is basically foundation. Kanban has 6 practices, those 6. Those are visualize, limit work in progress, manage the flow, develop feedback cycles, make process policies explicit, and improve collaboratively, evolve experimentally, using models and scientific method. Those 6 practices are basically meant to show me problems, where I usually find workarounds, and to show me what is the cost that is incurring when I don't change. One tool for finding those points, or finding where I can improve, is the so-called run chart. It's formerly known as control chart. What we do is we have the tickets down here and the lead time up here. What is lead time? Basically from idea to deployment. Somebody has an idea and says, I need this and this on my website. How quickly can we get it through? And we measure this time for every ticket and put it on a chart. So if we look at this a little more closely, we see lots of points, and we can find a mean, or maybe an average. It's like this. We can say, yeah, on average, our tickets go through in, 8 days or 9 days. That's the thing we can, propose to our customer and say, hey, on average, our things go through in 8 days. That might be okay for the customer, but what you're saying is, I have an idea about 50% of my tickets. I don't have an idea about the other 50%. So if we have a 50% confidence, we can't really predict anything, or only half of our tickets. So what we usually do is find the standard deviation and just add it to those 50%, and we get a confidence of 84%. Which sounds a bit better, but isn't really satisfying yet. So we add another standard deviation, and we get to 97.7%. That's really awesome. I mean, who is predictable to 97.7%? You could say, yay, cool. The bad thing about those 97% is that almost all of your tickets fall below this line. So what you're saying is, yeah, I can predict to my customer that almost 100% of my tickets will be below 14 days. That's not a really good measurement. Or your customer might say, ooh, I want it quicker. So, yay, you found a point where you should change, obviously, if your customer is still unhappy. What can you do? You can eliminate sources of variability. Whoa. Nasty word. Smaller the corridor of the standard deviation. Another thing you can do with a flowchart is you can find patterns. You can find something like this. Those outliers up there and up there. Really nasty things. They take a long time. So you go ahead and analyze what's wrong with these. And maybe you find other patterns, like there's always a long-running one, and directly afterwards there's 1 or 2 really fast ones. Am I maybe delaying things for quicker tickets? And what should I do about it? The same data with on a different chart. It's called the lead time distribution chart, where you can see the distribution of the lead times over the lead times. The distribution of the lead times. That's it. And you can basically do the same thing. Establish a mean and a standard deviation, and become fairly predictable. Is that completely over the top? Or is it understandable? Yeah? Okay. Let's talk about work in progress. Has anybody heard limiting work in progress, except for my slide, just a few slides back, in combination with Kanban? You? Okay. Why should we limit work in progress? I mean, doing a lot of things might be a good thing, but we shouldn't really do them in parallel. Why not? Lots of things to do in parallel cause conjunction and limit fast feedback. And that's exactly what your customers want, like the fast feedback. They want to know when things go awry. They want to know when things go bad. And they usually want to know it fairly quickly. If I'm in the very back there, I have no idea what's going on, except if somebody reports a status to me. And every time I go to somebody who's working in a project which looks like this, and say, hey, what's the status of your project? And he goes to all his developers, and you're basically causing more work for the people. What are other reasons to limit work in progress? We can concentrate on things, we can raise quality, we can reduce this multitasking. I don't know who hasn't heard of multitasking is bad to a certain point. What you're also doing is lowering the water level. You're basically reducing the amount of work to show yourself where are the problems. I mean, you probably shouldn't surf back there. And when you do, you might just hit a rock, but you don't see it yet. So with limiting work in progress, you're lowering the water level and exposing your problems. What you can do is find a workaround, surf somewhere else, or you could address these problems, find solutions for these problems. The reason for limiting work in progress is, of course, speed, which means you get things quicker. Why is this? I mean, why should we do things not in parallel for speed? There's a guy I think he's in Harvard or MIT, called John D.C. Little, and he proposed this law. He said the average lead time, from wish to deployment, equals the work in progress divided by the average throughput. What are we usually trying to do if we need more or a quicker lead time? We try to improve the average throughput. Remember the big efficiency thing? That's trying to reduce waste to get a better average throughput. The easier thing would be limiting work in progress, lowering that. Becoming predictable to a certain point gives you the opportunity to become fairly service-oriented. I was at a hairdresser's the other day, and they don't give out, dates? Yeah. Appointments, that's the word. What they have is at their entrance, you can draw a ticket, and they're saying if you have 1 to 3 numbers, you can probably wait 15 to 30 minutes, and so on. So they've gathered data to become more predictable. It would be awesome if we could give that to our customers. One word of caution though, if you are lowering the work in progress too much, lowering the water level too much, you might actually do something like this. You're not going to advance anymore because you're just not getting any throughput. That's a kind of bad thing with Little's law. Sorry. Let's come again to this picture, to this slide. The advantage of this, or no, I'll start differently. I was at in a traffic jam yesterday. I was coming from Heilbronn to Stuttgart, and there was a huge traffic jam between Heilbronn and Stuttgart. And just as we were passing Ludwigsburg, there was an accident, and the fire truck was coming through. And they turned on their blue lights, and coming along. So they were actually, expediting, pushing through. Everybody had to move to the side, and that's a behavior I know from my clients. Things escalate, and then the big boss comes and says, "Hey, this feature needs to go through immediately because it's so important." For the fire truck, it's usually true, but for features or the advantage of not having to push through, lowering your work in progress, is I can decide very late whether I want to drive along this road or not. If I know that I can get through quickly, there is no need for pressure. So, has anybody heard of a Kanban board? I haven't really talked about this yet. Okay. The Kanban board seems to be the representation of Kanban for IT or software Kanban or something like this. I think the very essence of Kanban is actually the limiting the work in progress. However, I cannot give a talk without referring to a Kanban board, because with the help of this board, I can actually see things, in knowledge work we have no visibility of inventory or of work that is currently being worked on, or that is waiting for somebody or something. With a Kanban board, we can visualize queues, we can visualize work, the amount of work, and make it very easy to decide whether we want to lower or maybe, no, we don't want to push the limits up, whether we want to lower the WIP limits any further. What do we see here? Just a board. Another tool which gives me a good information whether I should change things is the so-called cumulative flow diagram. Has anybody heard of that? Okay, you do? Okay. It looks like this, fairly complicated, all colory, yay. Gives us a few informations. Gives us information about actual work in progress at a certain time. It gives us information about average lead time at a certain time. And an information about throughput at a certain time. But that's not really all this interesting. What we're seeing here in this cumulative flow diagram is that the work in progress on this yellow development column, it goes apart. So we're pushing more work in progress into this, which is bad, obviously, and we don't want to do this. As soon as we detect this on a CFD, we should ask ourselves, what should we change so the work in progress goes back? Or which effects do these work in progress adjustments have? Apart from that, we have these bubbles here. If you ever see these bubbles, you should be alarmed because they're bad. This blue or yellow, no, it's not yellow, violet column represents release. So there's actually features waiting to be released, which means there's actually money or customer satisfaction sitting there waiting to be pushed online. You don't want that. That's a chance for improvement and lowering your work in progress. Any irregularities you see on this chart are potential chances for improvement. So, which level should we change on? Because there's the team level, the personal level, the whole company level. There's currently a model called flight levels of Kanban. And we've sorted things out into variability and flow, which was the Mura thing, and the Muri thing, the overburdening. There's 4 levels at this time. And you can do Kanban on the personal level or the team level, which doesn't really have much effect on your customer. Or you could do you could see how you're dealing with the overburdening. I put Scrum there because Scrum actually stops people from pushing work into your sprint or your work in progress. And you're actively restricting work in progress from entering your system. Up to level 4, your portfolio level, where you have a lot of leverage for change. You can really gain a lot on this level. However, you need lots of people saying, okay, maybe we should change things, which is fairly hard to do. Let's come back to the chaos thing. What was chaos again? It's usually a feeling of not being able to control things, of overpoweredness, of not being able to set constraints on your system. And the only way we can change this chaos to something controllable is changing ourselves. So controlling chaos with Kanban means that we need to actively develop our capabilities to reduce the chaos or eliminating it completely. Shameless advertising. There's a conference next week about Lean and Kanban. Since you've been here, you probably won't go to this one, but it's next week. Any questions? Yes, please. So the question was, what do you do if you have to wait for customer feedback and you can't deliver them, right? First of all, this just shows you that you have a dependency to outside your system. And if your customer is the one who actually wants these tickets, he should have an active interest into not waiting, into these tickets not waiting. So with the control chart or the run chart, you could go ahead and say, okay, these tickets that have a very high lead time are your tickets. We could push that down if we involved you more closely. Apart from that, yeah. Okay. Other questions? No? Yes. No? Mm-hmm. Let me go back to this thing. You can start with only a few people, which would be this thing. The problem is, no, it's not really a problem. The effect is you don't get as many people, big changes, or you don't gain a lot from these changes. So as soon as you are able to involve more and more people who are willing to change, you get more benefits. That's, yeah. The bad thing about Kanban is, which is also a good thing, you can implement it very softly. But the effect is you don't get as much benefit from it. There was a question down there. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, the question was, if we're combining Scrum and Kanban, there could be potential conflicts about work in progress limits, right? The beauty of Kanban is you don't have, actually you can't use it by its own. You always have to have a process in place which you can do your Kanban on. Kanban is not a process per se, but more like a change method. So if you have two processes, one with Kanban and one without Kanban, which could be Scrum, then it's just a question, how are you splitting your people, your resources, and what effects are you seeing? So if you have only 3 people on your Kanban team and 3 people on your Scrum team, both will have a pretty shitty lead time probably. You could also put the Kanban guys into the Scrum team and limit your work in progress there. So you could say, okay, we're developing only 1 feature at once or 2 features at once. And things should go through very, very quickly. Is your question answered? Yes. Yes, please. Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. But work in progress? Okay. Do you have a question with that? Yeah. Okay. So the question was, well, good question. Okay, let me come back to the no slide. No. Okay, the question was, there's a big project with big work packages who need to which need to be split up into very lots and lots of small packages, and these small packages can be limited, but there are dependencies between the packages, right? Okay. What you're seeing is that your project is complex. Thank you. No, it's actually a transparency thing. If you had 5 week packages, then you're only pushing the planning of the 5-week package to your people, instead of maybe doing the decision what things should go first by yourself, which is okay. I mean, there are hierarchical boards where you can just, have one big ticket and lots of small other tickets. I can show you later. What was I going to say? Dependencies. Oops. I forgot what I was going to say. Can we talk later? Can we talk later? Yeah, I would like to see whether we can work out a solution. But mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have a question. Why is the big ticket, if it's split up into small tickets, blocked too? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. There are softwares that, you can move big tickets which have sub-tickets, which can help you deal with the complexity or the planning issue. But basically it's only showing you that you have a lot of tickets in there, which have dependencies, obviously, which you should resolve as soon as possible. And not if your five-person team is completely blocked by one ticket. Okay? Do you have any other questions? Otherwise, I'll be outside for the rest of the afternoon, I hope. Thank you very much.